and good evening to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on this webinar around progression at DLD and beyond DLD. My name's Dr. Sarah Watson. I'm the Vice Principal Academic at DLD College and responsible for the overview, the overall process of students making options at various key points in their academic career and also how we can help them to move on from school afterwards. So this is going to be a session about 40-ish minutes, 45 minutes. Please do feel free to add any comments or questions in the chat function as we go. Hopefully you'll be able to see that chat function at the top of your screen. We don't have any participants on camera, but just to let you know, we are recording this session. So if you do need to look back at it, you are very welcome to do so. That will be published tomorrow on our website, and we'll be sharing that with everybody as well. So I'm going to start off by speaking today about the overview of the progression and options process for students at DLD College London. I'm then going to pass on to Marie Kerrigan, who is our head of BTEC. So all of the BTEC programs we run at DLD, Marie oversees that. Marie will then hand on to Celestine. Celestine Cawley is our head of the International Foundation Programme, and they are the different pathways for international students. And then Dr. Daniel Woodley at the end will speak about moving on to university or careers or other guidance that we can help support students with at DLD. So I guess as parents and as guardians and people interested in our lovely DLD students, the key advice that I would give you is to talk to the children that are in your care. Talk to them about, what really inspires them, what do they feel passionate about, and also talk to them about the styles of learning that they really like and they really enjoy, styles of learning that they flourish in. So are they a child who, enjoys exams and likes to learn lots of new information and can put it together in timed conditions? Or, do you have a child who is really into project-based learning and really flourishes when working on longer projects and maybe collaborative projects as well? So talking is really, really important. Asking questions of anyone that you feel might have answers to those questions. So it could be any of us on the call today. It could be your child's personal tutor or their housemaster, housemistress, or their teachers or their heads of department. Anyone that you think has got answers to questions that you might need to know, please get in touch. We're always very welcome, very open to answering your questions. Doing a little bit of research, don't have to go into lots of details, but if you know that you're considering certain universities or certain areas of the world in terms of next steps, have a little look at those university websites and those careers and to see what is needed for the next steps before making option choices. And this is the final point I really want to emphasize to people after many years of all of us doing this role is to consider alternatives. Sometimes the pathway that students and parents and guardians have in their minds might not always actually be the best pathway for that student. So do consider what the alternatives are. The key goal is for students to move on from DLD in a really positive, happy place with a great result in whatever course they've done and to move on to a university of their choice or a career pathway of their choice. That is the goal. And there are many different ways of getting there. So sometimes the first way that we think might not actually be the best way for that student. So please do ask for advice, take on board advice before making those decisions with your child. All parents and guardians will have been sent a letter from myself at the beginning of the week. So you might have had that in your inbox on Friday or Monday with details of an options form. Now that options form needs to be completed by parents or guardians, not by the student. And the deadline for that is Monday, the 26th of February. So we have a few weeks now, 4 weeks or so, and within that you have half term as well. So really have those conversations and find out any answers to questions that you might need. So I'm going to speak with you today about the GCSE option pathways and the A-level pathway options before handing on to Marie, who will talk about BTECs. So for students who are currently in year 9, if your child is in year 9, you will be thinking about year 10 study. Now, in the UK and in many international schools that run GCSEs, the majority of students will do a 2-year pathway of GCSE or similar level studies. So at DLD, the courses that we offer are the 4 core GCSEs. So these are courses that every child must do, not just in DLD, but in the UK. They are English, maths, and double award science. So that's what we offer on the 2-year pathway. Now, within English, of course, we have students, from many different countries who have varying levels of English. So there are different pathways within English. Students can do GCSE English language. They can do GCSE English language and English literature. Or they can go an academic English pathway, which will study English for academic purposes and lead towards the IELTS qualification, which is accepted by universities. All students will take maths, and then at DLD, we offer the double award science. So that is biology, chemistry, and physics, but taught across the equivalent of 2 A-level courses. It means students come out with 2 GCSE qualifications in science, but all 3 of those courses are taught within that program. Now, if you have a child who is really keen to go into some kind of medical field, and maybe they are considering taking the individual sciences at A-level, then there is the opportunity to upgrade to the triple sciences. So that's the separate chemistry, physics, and biology when they reach year 11, providing that they have the required grades at the end of year 10 to do so. So they're the core GCSEs everybody must take. There are then some really exciting options that students will choose between. So the options are between GCSEs and equivalent level BTECs. These are worth, the BTECs are worth the equivalent of 1 GCSE. So students can choose to do either GCSE art or a very hands-on BTEC sport, GCSE film studies or BTEC business enterprise, GCSE geography or BTEC performing arts, and finally GCSE history or BTEC esports. And we have our own esports arena, fully equipped room within DLD. We work with the Esports University at Olympic Park to make sure that program is really high quality and innovative. And that's very, very popular. So students, as you can see, can do either 10 full GCSEs by the time they get to the end of year 11, or they can do a combination of core GCSEs and then any combination of the GCSE options and the BTEC options as is relevant to that particular child. So that's how it works for students currently in year 9 who are entering into year 10. For those students who are currently in year 11, so they're finishing their BTEC level 2 and their GCSEs with us, they might be considering their next steps. One of the next steps are potentially A-levels. Now, at DLD, students will typically sit either 3 or 4 A-level subjects, and that can be any combination that suits the requirements for what they go on to study at university or within their career. So at this stage, it's particularly important to make sure that you're aware of what universities require. So for example, certain courses such as medicine will certainly require maths and chemistry at a minimum. Other courses such as law will typically expect English literature and history, for example. And Daniel will talk a little bit more about university applications later. So this is why it's really important that parents and children work together to do a bit of research before making these options and to talk it through with a member of the school team if you need more guidance. We offer a huge range of A-levels at DLD, 20 different subjects, and they range from the humanities to the sciences to the technologies, mathematics, art, graphic design, photography, film studies, government and politics. You can see them all on the screen there. If you go onto the DLD website and you go to the academic section, You'll be able to look at all of the courses in more detail to have those conversations with your child. And the final thing from me, I just wanted to highlight that we do have entry requirements at DLD, even for students who are already within the school. The reason we have entry requirements is because we want to make sure they are suitable courses for that student. We don't want students to be struggling with a course that may be inappropriate for them. And if you're not sure about this, then your housemaster or mistress can have a conversation about that. Any students who we have very clear decisions that we really strongly recommend a certain course, then the HMs will be contacting those parents individually to have those discussions. But if you've not been contacted by HMs, then the choice is open to you. For GCSEs or the BTEC level 2s for the 2-year program in year 10 and 11, students will need to have an IELTS score of 4.5 at a minimum. This is the level that will be needed in order to study the high level of syllabus at GCSE level. And of course, we're looking for positive behaviour, positive attitude within year 9 as well. For the international foundation programs, they're only available to international students. They are 1-year courses and you must be 17 to study those. If you want to do an IFP in art or computer science, it's really important that you have a portfolio of work if you don't have GCSEs already, because that is quite a high level, kind of equivalent to A-level course really, within 1 year. So we need to make sure students have the skills. And for the English requirements, that is a level 5 at a minimum, particularly a level 5 in reading and writing. And as I say, you must be an international student and you must be 17 years old to be able to go on that course. For A-levels and BTEC level 3, they are 2-year courses. Students need an English IELTS score of 5.5 at a minimum, with 5.5 in writing and reading. The level expected of English at A level is high because they are very, very academic courses. We also require students to have a minimum of 5 GCSEs at a pass level, which is a level 4 or above. And if students want to do A-level maths, they will need a level 5 at GCSE maths. And if they want to do further maths, they will be required to have a level 6 at GCSE maths. And for students doing A-levels or BTEC level 3s, they will need to be 16 years old by the 1st of September. So that is it from me in terms of GCSEs and A-levels. So I'm now going to hand over to Marie. We'll just give her a moment to share her presentation with us. So as I say, Marie is the head of all of the BTECs, and she is also a film and media teacher as well. So she's very, very well placed, very well experienced in running BTECs at all levels. So I'll hand over to Marie. Thank you.
Hello there. Hi. As Sarah was saying, I'm Marie and I'm head of BTEC, and I'm also the lead internal verifier and program lead for BTEC Media and eSport. So I thought I'd kick off by talking about initially what a BTEC actually is. It is a specialist qualification that is an alternative to A-levels and GCSEs. One of the great things about BTEC is that we can actually individualize the education and cater for some of our students' interests. It is a practical hands-on experience, but although it is project-based and though it is practical, it is underpinned by essential subject theory. It is, as you can see, accepted by 95% of universities in the UK and 100 countries worldwide as well. And there are a large number now of students in the UK who have at least one BTEC, and a third of all students who are accepted have just solely studied the BTEC course. A lot of our students go on to Russell Group universities such as Nottingham, Sheffield, London-based universities such as Goldsmith as well. We have had a couple of students go off and study internationally, in Monaco and Chicago. And we also look, especially in media, for courses that are endorsed by industry regulators such as Screen Skills and the National Union of Journalists. And we encourage students to go and join those courses that are endorsed by those regulators, because it means they are getting an education that will allow them to go into the industry and be prepared to work in that industry. Okay, so here at DLD, we offer what's known as Level 2 BTECs, the Tech Awards. They are equivalent to one GCSE and they are studied over 2 years. And they enable our students to progress either onto a BTEC pathway or onto A-level pathways. So we have enterprise, e-sport, sport, and performing arts. And then currently at sixth form, we offer two BTEC courses, business and digital media, that are equivalent to 3 A-levels and are studied over 2 years, just as a student would if they were studying A-levels. We also offer the course as a 1-year, 1 A-level equivalent. At the moment, we offer business and digital media, but we are looking this coming September, if we have the interest, to actually offer esports at extended certificate. And as Sarah was saying, we actually do have specialist facilities for us to offer esports as well. So just so that you get an overview of where A-level, GCSE and A-level compare, how they compare to the BTEC Tech Awards and BTEC Nationals. So you will see, just the same as GCSE, our Tech Awards sit across level 1 and 2, and then our BTEC Nationals, they sit across, are equivalent to A-level as well. Okay, so how do they differ? How do BTECs differ from A-levels and GCSEs? They are, like I said before, a mix of project-based assessments. They allow students to express their understanding practically as well as theoretically. They are tested and graded throughout the 2 years. So currently our Tech Awards students have actually completed 2/3 of the course, and they have 1/3 of the course, one component left that they will sit in May. The other great thing about BTEC and how it differs again from A-level and GCSEs is it offers students the ability and the time and the opportunity to develop what we call hard and soft skills. So they're not only developing skills and knowledge that are needed in the industry, so event management for business or film editing in media, they are also learning soft skills as well that fit them for the workplace. So, for example, let me just give you a few examples. In business, the common soft skills that we are teaching is quite often problem solving, organization, research skills, and teamwork. In digital media, we are teaching similar things such as teamwork, but also work ethic, problem solving, communication and creativity, and also leadership skills as well. So to go on to talk about assessment, at level 2, the assessments comprise of internal and external assessments. So the students are given a set assignment for components 1 and 2. These are given to us by Pearson, our exam board, and they are allowed to submit the work twice. So they have 2 opportunities to submit this work. They submit this work for moderation either in January or in May, when we believe the students will achieve their best possible grades. The internal assessments for BTEC Tech Award, they're completed during the first year and the beginning of the second year. And currently, the majority of our Tech Award students are now working and preparing for their external assessment, which is component 3. And again, this year, our students will complete these in May, June time. At level 3, the assessment is similar. There are internal assessments and there are external assessments. So the internally assessed units are based around assignment briefs. These are usually, like I said earlier, they are project-based, and we are able to alter them to suit our students' interests and to fit our students' needs as well. All the assignments are graded and checked and standardized by 2 members of staff as well. So it's not just relying on the grading of one teacher, it's actually standardized by another teacher. And every year, the exam board will take a sample of our marking and will also check to make sure that we are meeting national standards. And we also have external assessments. There are 4 externally assessed units, and those assessments are completed across the 2 years, usually 2 external assessments per year. And they are designed to assess skills and knowledge acquired throughout the course of the year. So, for example, in media, my students have just been tested on their ability to conduct primary and secondary research and to understand what impact that can have on the industry and what good quality research will look like, or does look like, I should say. Okay, so why study BTEC? Well, as I've mentioned previously, we are able to tailor the curriculum towards the students. So, for example, we used to offer screenwriting. It was something that our students particularly enjoyed. But over the last few years, our students have actually opted to do photography instead. And that has actually been really great in building up their skills and their independence. So that's something we're able to do. They are able to have learning opportunities that tap into their individual interests. So at the moment, the business students are due to start their event management project, and they raise money for charity, and they choose which charity, and they choose the event and develop the event and come up with a plan for that. And again, they have input into that project, which gives them a great deal of ownership. We are also incredibly lucky in terms of our location, and that often provides our students with a number of opportunities. For media, we have an amazing location right there, literally outside our door, with South Bank and the Houses of Parliament. Business students have had opportunities to meet with entrepreneurs and have opportunities to develop their business acumen with Harrods and Lush, and they've also gone down to Canary Wharf and worked with different businesses there. They've also engaged in marketing and team building activities at Thorpe Park, I should say, and Go Ape. So there's lots of opportunities there for them. I'm going to now brag on our students as well. Last year, we achieved 100% of our students achieved D-star DD, which is equivalent of A-star AA at A level. And the minimum grade that they actually achieved was the equivalent of 3 Cs. So we're very proud of all their hard work. In actual fact, 70% of our students achieved 3 distinctions or above, so achieving the equivalent of 3 As at A level. And our certificate students, so our students who are just doing the equivalent of 1 A level, which they study in 1 year, they are 80% of them again achieve the equivalent of an A or A star. So we are extremely proud of them. So yes, we basically work hard to prepare our students for the future. I know Daniel's going to talk about this in a little bit more detail. But I would like to just show some of the destinations that our students go to, because one of the frequently asked questions of myself and the other BTEC teachers is, where do our students go after this? So I will just pop up. Here we go, our destinations. So we have students who are at Met Film School, Bournemouth University, Queen Mary, Royal Holloway, lots of different places. We support our students in their applications for university. We help write their references. We help them build up their portfolios as well if they need to. And so the number of the different types of degrees the students go on to are very wide ranging. So business management, finance, real estate, public relations. We've had students go off and study social media marketing, film, obviously film production, editing, and so forth. But we have students who are actually studying media and law. We have students who've gone off to study special effects. We have students who've also gone off to study media and politics as well. So yes, we are a college that is committed to offering our students a vocational education, as we believe it is a viable route for students into careers and into universities. And with that, I'm going to now hand over to Celestine, who will talk to you about IFP.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Celestine, and I am the head of the International Foundation Program at DLD. So getting straight into it, we have a variety of different pathways that students can enroll onto. So for example, we have art and design, advanced maths, biomedical science, business economics, engineering, and you can read the rest here in front of me. Within this pathway, students have two core modules that they study on a semesterized basis. So from September to December, they have one unit, and then they're assessed in the December on that exam. And then from January to May, then they have their second unit, which they're assessed on the end of May. Within that, then if a student has not passed their exams, they are able to retake the exam in June to ensure that they get to their university destination. Furthermore, within the core pathways that were mentioned on the previous slide, each student has core components that they must study. So you have essential maths 1 and 2, academic skills and research, and personal development. Each of these core strands are worth 7.5% of their overall grade at the end of the year, with the pathway, so for example, the business and economics or the computer science, making up the other 70%. The key thing with these core strands is that the essential maths makes up for the shortfall that some international students may find themselves in, is maybe not having the GCSE maths equivalent that they need to get into a UK university. So the essential maths strand here, 1 and 2, cover that to ensure that they get into their university. Furthermore, each of the students will also study IELTS as part of their qualification. And that enables them then to cover the English language requirement for their courses. So why is the IFP? So as I said, we have a variety of programs available for the students, so they can basically pick a pathway on where their strengths lie. So if they're 100% sure that they want to study biomedical science at university, engineering, fashion management, art and design, so on and so forth. We have the program available that will not only give your child their skill set that they need, but also the foundation knowledge that they will be successful at their first year of university. It obviously enables them to develop their English and their academic rigor. As I've said already, they have the IELTS as part of their program. So not only are they developing the subject knowledge through their pathway, but they also have that academic English to ensure that they can tackle anything that comes their way, such as their research project in academic skills and research. It's a mini dissertation to prepare them for the university, to get them to research a topic of their choice. They spend a lot of time with their teacher in terms of how to research, sourcing information, preparing questionnaires, interviewing people, and then analysing and evaluating the information that they've collected. Similarly, in their personal development lessons, they will look at career skills and skills that they might need for university. So, for example, communication skills, how to be successful at interview, working as a team, and looking ahead for their future. So what soft skills will they need within each of the different industries? We also are very lucky to have good partnerships and good relationships with universities in London and around the UK that will acknowledge our IFP course, and we have been able to offer students some great destinations off the back of those partnerships and relationships. So here are some of the university's destinations that students have gone to in the past. There's a lot of Russell Group universities in there, lots of art and design, business, computer science, engineering. There's lots and lots of choice there for students. That's, you know, these are our most popular courses that they will apply to, and more often than not, all students will get their first choice. Very few will go on to their second, but they all will typically choose the ones that you see here in front. So typical questions that I get from students when they want to study IFP is what age? So as Sarah mentioned earlier, you must be 17 on the 1st of September to commence their course. Again, with IELTS, they need to have a 5.0 overall and then a 5.0 in reading and writing. This is really important because the IFP qualification is the equivalent to 3 A-levels. So it's a really intensive course to deliver across basically a 9-month period. So it's ensuring that they can set themselves on the best foot forward and ensure their success in their exams and on their program. Another one I typically get is, do I need to have studied GCSE? As I mentioned, we cover the bases with English and maths through the program. For courses such as computer science, engineering, biomedical science, it's always good to have a background knowledge in those areas, because that will, again, enable you to be successful on the course. Similarly, with your fashion management and your art and design, the teachers will look at your portfolio, look at your skills to make sure that it's the right course for you. My next question, so does LSE, Cambridge, Oxford accept IFP? Unfortunately not. However, as you've seen from my previous slide, there are lots of fantastic universities, including Russell Group universities, that do consider and make offers year on year for our students. And how can I prepare for my UCAS application? So I always recommend students to go out and try and get some work experience. Think outside of the box when they are looking at maybe typical lectures that they might want to attend that are run by various universities. Looking at different, for example, business entrepreneurs, that might set them apart from other candidates that are applying. And more often than not, reach out for help from myself, from Daniel as the head of UCAS, and also their tutors in school. There's lots and lots of people that can help and facilitate the support with their application. So it's super important that they communicate and don't feel that they're stuck. If I haven't answered your questions, I appreciate it's quite a brief overview of the IFP. These are my contact details. Please feel free to drop me an email should you have any specific questions. And that is all from me. I'll hand you over to Daniel.
So I'm just going to talk very briefly about the key points of value that DLD can add to any student's decision to apply to university through our college. And of course, as you've heard already, the options are fairly clear. And I'm just going to mention those options again as I run through this, but I'm not going to dwell too much on the nature of the options. Just going to link these options to the different types of university or alternative career paths which can be followed as a result of studying at DLD. So I'm going to start off by talking a little bit about the higher education options in UK. So most people will have heard of Russell Group. The Russell Group universities are the leading institutions with strong academic reputation. This just means that they get most of the funding from the government for research. However, the teaching is also very good at metropolitan universities, which are often less well known. And for example, we have the University of Leeds, but we also have Leeds Metropolitan University. And a lot of metropolitan universities offer courses on subjects which are not necessarily offered at the Russell Group academic universities. But sometimes both types will offer the same courses. Met type universities are very common in London too, and there's quite a few of them. They're not as popular with our students as the more famous universities, however, but they are an alternative. And as I say, they do offer courses in a range of stuff which may not be immediately obvious, and includes potentially a lot of BTEC applicants might be considering those types of courses, because those types of courses are more hands-on, more practical and more vocational. We also have business schools, and there's a large number of business schools, many of which are attached to universities or are independent, and some can be applied to also privately, in other words, outside the UCAS system. So that's quite useful for our students as well. Quite a few use that option and apply to business schools outside the UCAS system in order to get extra application choices. Then we have also specialist colleges and medical schools. These are more niche and therefore fewer students apply to these. However, they are mostly in London, and not all in London, but the ones of interest to our students generally are in London, including especially the art colleges. So following on from what Marie was saying about destinations, we have here a list of some of the most popular destinations for DLD College. And as you can see, the ones in London obviously attract from 2023. This is not all of our students, this is just a breakdown of some of the most popular ones. You can see very clearly that London and the South East is most popular, but we do have quite a lot of applications to excellent Russell Group universities outside the London area, including, as you will see from here, Manchester and let's see, Warwick, also Exeter and Bath. And the focus on London is inevitable because our students, because there's 70% international, once they've settled in London, they've come to like the city and they know where they are. So inevitably, they're going to feel more confident studying a degree course here in London too. And by far the most popular two are Queen Mary and City University among the business students. This then, if we look at the breakdown of courses, we can see that choices of DLD students for degree courses, 32% of our students want to study something connected to business, finance, or management, which reflects also the success of the IFP program. More on that in a moment, but a large number of those applicants are IFP, and also some of them are BTEC too, and many are A-level. It's a huge number of students. Again, those students are looking primarily at London universities, but not always, or at business schools, which are more niche. Followed by humanities, social sciences. A very large number of our students apply for arts and creative media, which reflects, again, the IFP and the BTEC, as well as the arts A-levels. A smaller number for STEM, science, technology, etc. And then other. One of the biggest increases in recent years has been computer science, and computer science is an increasingly attractive option for many students. So, as we've talked about already, the main routes through DLD would be A-level or BTEC and A-level, or BTEC on its own, or International Foundation. I won't go through the details again, but just to summarize this in relation to the universities, clearly A-levels are the most common or usual qualification for entry to universities in UK. It's the easiest way to get in. 3 A-levels is usually the basic requirement. I would go so far as to say that for competitive courses at Russell Group universities, it's essential to have A-levels. Although it is possible in some cases to get in with IFP. For example, one could get into, if I make a comparison, an A-level student might be required to get 3 A's to get into Queen Mary, A-star AA, in fact, to get into Queen Mary to do business management. But at the same time, would be able to get in with 80% or 75% from the IFP program. So it's different routes to the same thing. And students at DLD, some of whom have been through year 12, make a decision consciously to do IFP, but also probably half our IFP students are coming here as year 14 and they didn't do year 12. So they are going straight, very quickly, 9 months at DLD, and then they're going to be at university. So with A-levels, we tend to focus on subject combinations. We try to make sure at the beginning that the students make the right choices for A-levels. If there are many different options, obviously, although the college has to timetable it within reason, essentially lots of combinations are possible. I've just put 3 here, which I think are quite typical: politics, economics, and maths for students who want to do economics at university, or international relations. Chemistry, physics, maths for people who want to do STEM subjects, and any other combinations possible too. Or for an arts-based degree, English, history, psychology is an excellent combination, or English, history, sociology. So A-levels have to be chosen carefully, and we offer the students the option to change a A-level choice if necessary. We don't encourage them to move around too often, though. I won't go over the BTEC in detail because Marie has done this. Just to reiterate that it is an ideal qualification for students who enjoy project-based learning. And I think from that point of view, that says it all. As Marie said, it's underpinned also by theoretical concepts. But it is essentially more designed for the vocational orientation and does provide hands-on practical career skills. Some of the BTEC qualifications could be studied alongside A-level, and that gives flexibility. So quite a few students do 2 A-levels and 1 BTEC, rather than doing 3 A-levels or just 1 large 2-year BTEC. Excuse me. BTEC, yes. So, and finally, the IFP, of course, provides these options. To reiterate what Celestine was saying, we do have agreements with quite a few universities. The majority are in London, but not all. We have most recently been confirming our relationship with Southampton University, which is Russell Group, and looking to expand further opportunities for the IFP students. By far the most important one is business and economics. The others are developing slowly. One which I helped to set up with the social sciences, which involves politics, history, psychology, and sociology. And art and design, which is obviously very popular, particularly with East Asian students, very keen on that particular course option. So at the moment, this year, we will have something like 60 to 65 IFP applications to university. Again, I will reiterate, a lot of those are going to be for business-related degree courses. So at the top end, we could have an example of very successful applications, say for a student who wanted to apply to UCL or King's College, very competitive, would require A-star AA, evidence of lots of additional engagement, extension activities, etc., and probably good GCSEs if they're a British student. If they're not a British student, then the equivalent in their own country. These types of universities look for very strong academic potential. Sometimes it is possible for our students to get into some of the degree programs using IFP. So we have this year already a few offers for students from IFP program who have applied to King's College for the digital media program. And so one girl who I advised has got an offer. And we've got a couple of others as well. So IFP is possible to get into King's, but we wouldn't probably rely on the same success rate as we might have had a few years ago, but it's still possible. UCL is not possible though. A very common one is for our students is business management at City University. Very competitive. You would need 3 A-levels, or you could apply through BTEC or through the IFP program with 70 to 75%. Another example where BTEC is obviously very useful would be something like digital media design, very popular degree course, and would require BTEC level 3 national extended diploma, DDD. But you could also do it with A-levels, something in the realm of BBC or BBB, 3 A-levels. These are different routes or different pathways one could take. Last example, students wanted to do something like advertising, brand design. These are increasingly interesting degree choices, not academic so much, but more vocational. The emphasis is on securing the necessary training to go into a career. And again, this is perfectly valid. So we don't encourage all of our students to imagine that they're going to do English literature or philosophy. In the real world, most jobs are not concerned with English literature or philosophy. So here we have a typical IFP fashion management student, for example, might want to, with a good portfolio, apply to this type of course. So we encourage our students to advance their own applications and think, how can they really take ownership here, be responsible, try to encourage them to think about what their contribution is rather than just always depend on other people. We encourage them to find out information, to research, to travel to visit to universities, etc. If possible, think about summer schools and all various other activities. I would always encourage students to think, what can I do to make my application stand out? Given how many thousands of applications are made each year through UCAS. It is essential to think about that. How can I make mine stand out? I'm going to skip this little section here. So some trends at university applications that we're seeing from the students here at DLD, 75% of students roughly achieve their first choice, which means that 25% don't, but they will achieve their second choice, the backup or reserve choice. We're seeing fewer students apply to the US, 8 this year. I think the largest number I processed one year was 12, so not that many. We're seeing more students apply to EU universities in countries varying from Spain, the Netherlands. A couple of people have shown interest in universities in France and Germany. Not that many, though, however, I have to say. These are alternatives. 80% of our students apply to London destinations. When I took on this role as head of universities, that figure was exactly the same. So it hasn't changed. It does reflect the international students' preference to stay in London. We have tried to promote other universities outside London, but it's not always an easy thing to do. I've put here that sometimes IFP students have unrealistic expectations. I only mean that if they have been encouraged to believe that there is an automatic pathway available to them if they study the IFP program. This is not the case. There are pathways that are established, but of course the students must get good grades, they must get excellent references, and they must work hard. So there's no automatic pathways available, and students should always be wary of any education professionals or advisors saying to them that such things exist. And as I put here, business, finance, politics, computer science are increasingly popular degree choices. This is good for me because I have a lot of politics students in my department who want to study my subject, and I try to encourage that. And I think all the teaching staff here try and do this, try to promote their subject as best as possible. A quick comment on apprenticeships. I'm not the head of careers now. However, the apprenticeships advice is given by my colleague Paul Schoenenberg, who is also a university advisor. We like to emphasize that apprenticeships are an alternative to higher education, to try to encourage the students to see that going straight into a university academic degree is not always the best option for them. It may not really be what they want to do. This may be the case more with our domestic students than with the international students, who may not really understand what apprenticeships are, although they probably exist in their own countries too. The emphasis here is on directly linking training to the labour market and gaining a professional qualification in a particular area. And this can be done either by combining academic study with job placements, which can be quite an exhausting ask. Studying and working at the same time is not always what everyone would want to do, but it is a route that is likely to provide more certain employment at the end of it if the student completes all the requisite and necessary tasks. So just as an example, you could do a degree apprenticeship, gaining an undergraduate degree while you work, 3 to 6 years, in a range of different things. And just to look at an example, accounting and finance is a perfectly possible example. Another example would be law and legal studies. You don't have to do a law degree to go into law. You can work in law by doing an apprenticeship. You could probably find it hard to become a senior barrister doing it that way, but you could easily train to be a solicitor or a paralegal. And of course, law is a route to many other different subjects as well. Finally, gap year. Well, how many students really do this anymore? Fewer than used to be the case. We don't encourage it, but when students want to do gap year and defer, we encourage them to apply, but with deferred entry. But this is a minority, a very small number now. Most students are keen to get on and want to get straight into university from school. And that is really probably what we would encourage. So overall, let's indicate that A-levels obviously remain the dominant pathway. IFP is growing. It's roughly stable to 60 to 65 students at the moment each year. Some of those come from year 12 who have opted to go into year 14, but more of them arrive in year 14 and pass through DLD very quickly within 9 months on their route to university. And then a smaller number doing BTEC, because there's room for BTEC to grow as well. DLD's main value added. What is DLD's main value added? We have a very comprehensive university advice program. The tutors here who provide the advice are very experienced, done the job for several years. I myself have done the job for several years and overseen the system for the last 4 years. We, as I said before, we encourage the students to think for themselves and make a bit of an effort too. This is a life skill to encourage, but it is essential for us to sort of steer them in the right direction within the framework of what they're doing here. Year 12, the students who are here at Year 12 will be introduced to the various pathways to follow later this term, so in February, March, and then will be allocated a university admissions tutor who will guide them through the process of applying in Year 13 or 14, depending on what they do, A-level or IFP. So the value added by DLD is essentially the experience we can provide, the guidance, subject knowledge, and generally a broad understanding of the options that are available for people who are 18, 19 years old, looking to move to the next stage. And I think I'll leave it at that point. So
thank you very much.
I can be reached at DLD through my email address, which is daniel.woodley@dld.org, if anyone has any questions. So that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So a huge thank you to Daniel, Marie and Celestine for their presentations today. So this recording of this will be available on our website from tomorrow. And if you do have any questions, the first port of call is your child, because often they can find out information for you if you have those questions, or to contact your child's personal tutor as a first port of call. But it's been wonderful to speak with you today, and any questions you have, please don't hesitate to keep in touch. And a reminder of the options form, Monday, the 26th of February as a deadline. Thank you so much, and I wish you a great evening. Thank you.